Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about is Newton's first law. We're going to talk about all three laws, and then we'll look at some of the classical forces, and then we'll look at the new ideas forces. The first one we want to talk about is Newton's first law. I'll abbreviate Newton's first law as N1L. You want to think of it as nil, go right ahead. But Newton's first law. Newton's first law is actually Galileo's law of inertia. We give credit to Newton because Newton is Newton. He is the super uber physicist. But it is actually Newton's first law. And in all fairness to Newton, Newton does give the credit to Galileo. He reiterates Galileo's law to say, look, this is a great idea. I'm going to take this great idea and I'm going to take it a step or two steps further. So he does actually give credit to Galileo for this law. But it's gone down in history as Newton's first law of motion, or the law of inertia, which is objects in motion tend to stay in motion, objects at rest tend to stay at rest. It's just another definition of inertia. I mean, if you look at the definition that we have over here, the tendency for matter to maintain its current velocity. An object in motion tends to stay at motion. With that given velocity. An object at rest, which would be a zero velocity, tends to stay at rest. So when we talk about Newton's first law, we're not talking about anything more than the law of inertia, that an object will stay at rest, or an object will continue its motion. Okay, so like I said, Newton's first law is nothing more than the law of inertia. It defines inertia. It's also important to note that Newton's first law is actually Galileo's laws of inertia. So, same thing there. We just like to give credit to Newton because it's Newton. Cool? So that's Newton's first law.